Leslie, very nice to meet you. Happy you're here. Happy I'm
Thank you so much.
here. Can you tell me a little bit about you, about your background, especially as a writer, obviously?
Yeah. I've been writing for pretty much as long as I can remember. My earliest memories are when I was very, very little, probably two or three. So before I could even really, put words together, I was telling my mom stories, and my mom would write down the stories on pieces of paper and then give them to me, and I would illustrate them with wonderful stick figures, done in crayon. And then I kind of graduated into uh, actual legitimate storytelling, writing cohesive, full-fledged stories.
Stories from beginning to the end.
Yeah, like Once Upon a Time, the end, everything in between. Really, probably kind of came into that my senior year of high school. I wrote and published my first book, kind of never looked back. Since then, I used to think I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to go into teaching English and literature. And when I was getting ready to graduate from college, I went to my then boyfriend at the time and was like, I don't think I want to do this. I think I just kind of want to focus on writing
Okay.
as my
Yeah.
career, which was terrifying because writers don't make as much as teachers. um, but it's what I love to do. And so it's kind of been my life in different facets, from writing historical fiction to nonfiction to children's books to essays and poetries and articles for different institutions. I'm basically in front of a computer screen typing away.
I can see behind you a bunch of books on the
This is
wall.
so we are in my this is my closet, but I've turned it into kind of my office, and I wish I could give you like a full-fledged tour because there's more books
It
in here than clothes.
it
Um
looks really pretty. I mean, the set. I mean, I'm just a white background, but you are already into you. You are getting me in the mood.
right? Yeah. I
It's
mean,
just
it's I love it because it's my space.
yes.
Um Everything in here is mine, and so it's my aesthetic. The wallpaper is very me. I have pictures of all my characters from my fantasy kind of around me. These are actually this is actually the fantasy series, books from the fantasy series, which Child of Dawn is a part of. So, and then I'm a avid collector of rare books and first editions. So I have a couple of
Yeah.
those. Yeah, this is my space. I love it.
So you have, and tell me if I'm wrong. I know you have 6 or 7 books published, and
Yes. Yeah.
also a novel, and also poetry. Can you tell me a little bit? What are the books about? What do you write? You mentioned fantasy. So is
Yeah,
this your
so
world?
it's funny because I when I wrote my first book was historical fiction, and I
Okay.
was convinced that was going to be my genre. This is what I'm going to do. This is my niche. I love history. And so I wrote my first book, which it doesn't even exist anymore. It went out of print, and it's just does it's not there.
It's a
Um
rare book now.
it's a rare book. Like, if you ever find one, buy it,
Yeah.
because it's probably worth a pretty penny. Probably not. But we my second book, The Rock and the Wind, was also historical fiction. And that's set in the 1800s on the East Coast in Maine. After I wrote that, I had a friend come to me and say, you know what, you should try nonfiction. And with everything in my life,
Yeah.
when you say you should do something, I will take it as a challenge and I will do it.
Good.
And so I wrote a contemporary piece set in New York City. This was probably 6 or 7 years ago that I wrote, Demons in the Hogshed. Finished that right around the time that we went into COVID. And during COVID, I actually wrote a children's book that focuses on adoption. I'm
Okay.
adopted, and I have nieces and nephews that are adopted, so it's very personal to me. And worked on that
Close to
with
home.
an illustrator during the beginning part of COVID, and then towards the end of COVID, the same friend that had said, right, contemporary, came to me and was like, you know what? You love fantasy and sci-fi.
He gives you another
Why
challenge.
don't you try that? And okay. And so the again, it was just an amazing kind of evolutionary process, because I thought it was just going to be a one-off. I'm going to write one book. I have no idea what I'm writing, but let's just go for it. And wrote the first book in the series, Child of Dawn, and it evolved into a whole series, and now I'm actually working on a prequel series for it.
So
So
now it's a whole saga. It's a
it's a
whole
whole thing. It's, and
a
it's
multi-book
been
like Harry Potter or Hunger Games or
I,
whatever. It's a
I
it's a series.
exactly, it's a series, and it went from being kind of like one part of like what became a whole kind of world. Like I had no intention of moving away from like the one main land, and now there's islands, and there's different areas, and there's different races, and I mean, it's just like, I mean, that's what writing is. Like, the hardest thing to do is write the first
Keeps
sentence.
expanding.
And it's just like it just went.
And it's writing in a sense that if you do have the imagination to keep going, no one is going to stop you. And that's the
Yeah.
beauty of it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing to be able to just get lost in one's own mind sometimes. It's crazy up here.
It's creative. It's creative. So,
Yeah.
Child of Dawn, it's one book of the series, and you adapted it into a screenplay. Am I correct?
Yeah, because I had nothing better to do. Yes. So that, again, it was a challenge. I had this late night interview with a wonderful man named, his first name's Terrence, and he's out of Atlanta. We ended up having like a 3-hour interview, and we're just talking. He mentioned the fact that Child of Dawn would make a great movie, which makes sense, because when I write, I call it writing cinematically. Like, everything in my head
It's
plays out like a
visual.
movie. And so it made sense that he would say that, because that's very much how Child of Dawn is written, as though it should be made into a film. I have some sort of film background. Like, I have friends that are filmmakers. I've been in like small roles, small time films. So I kind of know the gist of the movie making world, but had never done a screenplay. Had no idea how to market it or promote it or put it out there. And again, challenge accepted. I taught myself screenwriting. I found an editor to help me brutally cut down the screenplay. Initially, I think the first draft was like 200 pages, and that's just like offensive in Hollywood, unless you have a name made for yourself already. No one's going to look at that. I actually got it down to 130, then went to my publicist and said, all right, so here you go. On top of promoting my books, now you got to promote this. The film circuit for, I think, almost a year and a half, different film festivals, and we're just
Can
waiting for
you
somebody to pick it up.
can you describe to me the difference between a screenplay and a book? Because you've been through the process of adapting your own screenplay. It's a different gymnastic, because
Uh-huh.
a screenplay is supposed to check some boxes and give the readers some
Yeah.
information, so they are going to be able to imagine it on
Yes.
screen. When a book, you have, in a sense, more freedom. You don't have to check all these boxes and make it use that format.
Yes.
You did both. How could you describe the difference in the process, in the writing process?
I would say if I had to choose between the two, I'm definitely more of an author than a screenwriter. I am very expressive, very wordy. Part of what I love to do in my books is create visuals with words. So, long paragraphs describing things, whatever. Screenwriting, you can't do that. Like you said, you're taking out, if you're adapting from a book, you're taking out everything that is descriptive. You're leaving space for whomever, takes on the project to add their own vision. And
Mhm.
that is really hard to learn to let go, as the person
Yeah.
who's created this whole world. You don't want to hand it off to somebody, um and have them get it wrong, or not wrong, but wrong as to what is in your own head. And so in the editing process, especially, I mean, I had a wonderful editor from he was from Germany, and we fought all the time because you know, you need to take it out. No, I want to leave it in. Well, why? Well, because I wrote it. Like, this is my baby, you know. And but it's been a learning process because I've learned that just because, you know, you're stripping things away, the content is still there, the meat and the heart of the
Yeah.
story is still there, and that's what really matters.
It is a different kind of storytelling. In a book, it's your world, your words. It's everything comes from you, and it's kind of a direct relationship with the readers. When a script or a screenplay it's just a step in the creative process that's
Yeah.
going to involve so many different people. But I think it gives you more range as a
Mm-hmm.
writer, basically.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about poetry. I know your poetry has been published in several anthologies and also has been recognized by the Senate.
Not something that I really thought I would ever really focus on. It kind of came out of, I had a wonderful English teacher in high school who he read everything I wrote, like everything. And then he you couldn't understand his handwriting at all, but he would write in the margins and tell me how to change things to improve it or underline words that he liked. And so when I realized that this was something that I could do, and I'm sure you know, it's a completely different writing process, you know, compared to writing like a novel or a screenplay, you know, and so again, you're kind of compacting down into stanza form, and you're eliminating some words but leaving some. But I found that I could write poetry from a very emotional place. And so it was a good way, instead of journaling, I would write poems.
Yeah,
And I, my college professor, I had a wonderful college professor then who taught me English. And she kind of extended the journey into, well, you should publish these, you should put them out there. And I had no self-confidence in college at all, which is shocking because I'm doing interviews now. It's weird. But I would put these poems out there, and they started winning awards, which boosts one's confidence.
it
And
does.
you know, yeah, it really helps when you start getting ribbons. Like you mentioned, one actually ended up in front of one of California's senators at the time, who then issued me a meritorious citation for my poetry. And from there, I kind of realized, you know, like, this is just another outlet. You
It
don't
is.
have to just be a writer or a screenwriter. You can do it all.
Yeah.
Um, and so my poetry itself has kind of evolved over the years from being very kind of fluffy and kind of just like not
Rich, a
really.
little.
Yeah, now it's very kind of I feel like it's matured. It's
Yeah.
aged like a fine wine.
Back to fantasy. How many books in the saga, in the series?
So, in the Legends of the Veil series, which is what Child of Dawn is a part of, there are four. There's Child of Dawn, Silken Waters, The Ashwalker, and Firebrand. And then the prequel series will have three books.
Is it self-published? Do you have a publisher? How does it work for you right now?
Yeah, so right now it's self-publishing. I initially started with Amazon, and Amazon has done most of my books. I got super. I think my ego got a little too big, and I had an offer from Barnes and Noble when I
Hmm.
was writing the the second book, Silken Waters in Legends of the Veil, and they said, you know, we would like to publish you through our publishing entity. And so I went over to Barnes and Noble, and nothing against the actual physical bookstore. I love going to Barnes and Noble, but I hated working with the higher ups. The
Okay.
the the publishing entity was just, it was just, and I'm sure other people have had success. The people that were put in charge of my books, it was a
It
nightmare.
didn't work.
It didn't work. So I actually, for my final book in the Legends of the Veil series, Firebrand, I went back to Amazon and I said, I'm sorry, can I come back? and they were
Okay.
totally fine with it. So
Okay. So if one wants to read your books and buy your books, how should one do that?
they're all on Amazon. Rock in the Wind is on Amazon as well, which is the historical fiction. I'm also available on barnesandnoble.com. They are still there. And I'm available
Good.
on walmart.com as well.
How do you compartmentalize your time? How do you dedicate your time to one project or the next? What's your approach into chasing opportunity?
I'm very kind of flighty by nature. I want to do it all the things all the time, all at once. And
I feel you.
right, yeah, just like I have to do everything. So as a writer professionally, I've had to really work on, you need to do this now. This is why. You can go and do the next thing when you're done with this. Um, the only difference is with my poetry, I kind of use that as my outlet, my release. So if if I have
Yeah.
writer's block, or if I'm struggling with the next idea, I revert back to poetry because that's a good way to kind of flush everything out and sometimes create some decent stuff. And then I can go back and I can focus on the actual project that I'm working on. It's been interesting with writing both the novels and then kind of working on getting the screenplay out there, because now I have two things instead of just one. But they are symbiotic. Like the screenplay is more of like a job right now because it's done. Like I can't do anything else to it. It's out there. So it's more the promotion aspect of it as opposed to the writing. It's still very much creative. And how do
Yeah.
I, especially now that I'm writing the prequels, how do I take what I know and go back and create where all that came from?
Basically, the screenplay is a product that you need to sell
Exactly.
or place somewhere. When the
Yeah.
book is still comes from a more emotional place, it's more yours, I guess.
Yeah, and that's part of the whole writing process, right? Is having learning how to be okay with putting something out there. With the screenplay, it was terrifying to submit it to places because I didn't know if it was any good. I didn't know if it would garner any attention. I had no clue, and it was something I had never done. Whereas the writing, I have no problem, going through the editing process and then publishing something because I've done it. So the
Yeah,
writing is very much my safe space as
yeah.
opposed to screenwriting
I
is
totally
like,
get it. How did this work for you? Because this is an interview part of the Script Awards Los Angeles. So you submitted your script, you get into the nomination list, and today we are doing the first one-on-one interview in that new outlet, the
yeah.
festival creates. How does this work for you going into film festivals, script competitions? Because that must be a new approach for you, is it?
Yeah, no, completely new. Like I said, I've been to things, in LA before, Hollywood, like film related things, but it's always kind of just as an attendee, or my
Yeah.
publicist, because she knows I'm a writer and she has access to different events. She'll send me to review films. So I'm there as somebody looking at somebody else's work and then, kind of critiquing it. It's very different when you've got, like you said, a product and you're going
Yeah.
and you're trying to promote yourself. And so, being that this is my first one, it's kind of like, all right, whoever wants to talk to me, wherever I can go, whatever I can do, I'm not going to be picky. I'm just going to kind of put myself out there and hold on for the ride. I was at AFI in, I think it was
Hmm.
October, and that was,
That's
I
a good
had an
one.
assistant come with me, and that was like a whole nother level because you're on the red
Yeah.
carpet, but then Russell Crowe was there, and I bumped into Sydney Sweeney. She stayed at the same hotel I was staying at, and I came around the corner and ran into her and her security. And I mean, it's things like that where it's like, all right, this is like where I want to be, and this is what I want to
Yeah.
be doing. This is the dream.
You mentioned a few times your publicist. Not
Mhm.
every scriptwriter is going to hire a publicist.
Mm-mm.
So how did you come to that? And when, at what stage of your career did you feel the need and maybe the opportunity to say, hey, this is the time to hire a publicist to get me to the next step?
I, for years, had just done everything myself: the writing, the editing, the publishing, the promoting, and I have well, she's now a 14-year-old and almost 12-year-old who take up a lot of my life. And I was tired. Like, I felt like I wasn't getting out of what I was putting in, what I needed. And so I came across Cindy. She had posted like an ad on, I think I found her on Facebook of all places, in some sort of writing circle. And I reached out to her initially for the writing, and I just said, look, I'm tired. I'm doing it all by myself. I feel like I'm not reaping the benefits of what I'm putting in. Could you help me come up with some new ways to like promote myself? And through, working with the books, that then turned into doing the screenplay and putting the screenplay out there. And she has a lot of connections in New York. And
Yeah.
so it helps to have another set of eyes and somebody who's been in the business for a while to bounce ideas off of. And, should I do this? Should I not do this? I'm very, again, like I said, I'm very like, I'll just go do it all the time, all at once. I don't care what it is. I'm just going to do it. And she helps with reining me in and saying, you don't need to go to that. That's not going to
Yeah.
benefit you at all. Focus on this, keeping me grounded.
Yeah. Yeah. How does that work, if you don't mind me asking? How does that work financially? Because hiring a publicist, I guess, is going to be a cost.
Yeah.
So, do the book make you enough money to pay for the cost of the publicist? Can you share a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
yeah,
of
no, for
that?
sure. Yes. The simple answer is yes. While the books don't make as much as I would like, I mean, the dream is to, be like a J.K. Rowling. But it's not like lucrative. Yes, they do bring in a decent amount of income. The nice part with Cindy is this isn't her only job, and she's not as expensive as somebody who, would have a lot of clients and therefore be spread thinner.
In the advices and tips she's giving you, is she recommending you go to certain competitions, to
Mhm.
certain, I don't know, seminars, public speaking engagements? How does she kind of help you navigate this world of promoting your own work?
For me, when I went in, it was like it was just the books. Like, we're just gonna get them into bookstores and do like a book tour, and that's it. Like that's all that we're gonna focus on. She has been very good at putting different avenues in front of me. So, like you said, public speaking, going into libraries where in California, at least, you can't sell things in libraries. So it's not like I'm going to go and make a sale, but my brand and my name is getting out there, and I'm able to help educate other writers, with different tips. And this is my story, and this is what you can do. She has been really good at getting me into different publications, print publications, doing interviews,
Mhm.
promoting the books and the screenplay. She's also actually, which this would be a dream if it actually happens, she's actually in the process of getting me a TED Talk, which would be lucrative and insane. And not, again, I mean,
Mhm.
I watch TED Talks all the time. Never in a million years would I have ever thought that I would be up for one, much less do one. It's things like that where it's like, how can we think outside the box, build the brand? Because that's essentially what the books are, and the screenplay. They are a brand,
Yeah.
and get it out there, going kind of around like what the norm would be.
You mentioned at the beginning of the interview how you were a little shy when you were younger, and how now you're doing interviews, and you're considering doing a TED Talk. So, how did writing help you grow and evolve?
Yeah, definitely shy. I was homeschooled, went to a private high school and middle school. And so just the whole environment that I was in, there wasn't a lot of opportunity to kind of publicly be expressive. So I found my way of expression, in writing and vocalizing what I thought and what I felt. And for a lot of years, it was even with my writing, I felt like I had to write within parameters. This is what you should say, and this is what you should think and feel. And if you don't fit inside those parameters. People are going to judge you. They're
Yep.
going to think about you. I don't know that there was like a defining moment, but at some point I just kind of realized I'm me. I'm my own person. I know what's in my heart and in my head. And if somebody doesn't like it, they don't have to read it. They don't have to, watch it. They don't have to engage with it. That's totally fine. I'm not going to be offended
Absolutely.
by that. I mean, it's the same with movies, right? Like I'm not going to probably go see a gory horror movie, but that doesn't mean they're not good. That doesn't mean it's not a genre that's, recognized and makes a lot of money. When creatives recognize that they really can kind of they're released from the kind of bondage that they're in, when they think that they have to be a certain way or act a certain way or express a certain something, when they realize that they don't have to, then that's really really when the talent comes to complete fruition.
It's a balance game. If you
Yes.
know if you know your product, and if you're able to look at your book, at your screenplay as a product, then you're going to be able to become an entertainer. But if
Yeah.
at the same time you're able to be true to yourself in terms of the story you want to tell, then at the same time you're an artist and you're a creator. I think that's kind of the little bit of the name of the game today, 2026, because you make a movie, you're going to have to promote it yourself. Likely,
Yeah.
you write your own book, you're going to have to promote it yourself.
Yeah.
So if you have that capacity and that skill, then you're going to stand out at some point, because a lot of us are maybe not going to go that route. Which brings me to my final question for you. What's the next step? What's your next project? What are you focusing on right now?
So again, all the things all at once. We're beginning to get together kind of like the preliminary groundwork for a book tour that's going to be happening in New York in October, which will focus solely on the books. By that time, the first book in the prequel series will be out, so that will kind of be lumped into the Legends of the Veil series. So I'll be in New York for about a week promoting that, which I'm just beyond thrilled about. So we're doing that, continuing to promote the screenplay at various festivals, and then my main focus is working on the prequel to the Legends of the Veil series.
We wish you all the best for all of that,
Thank you
and
so much.
definitely you also have a website. All the books are there. There
All
are
the things.
links. There's really good biography of you.
It's really easy. It's just my name. It's www.leslieann, Ann is with an E, lee.com.
Leslie, thank you very much for everything you shared with us today. And we wish you the very best for your books and your screenplay and your poetry and everything you do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.